Yo, what's good, what's good, what's good? It's your boy, Frank Lamar, and I'm back with another reaction. Yo, everybody do reactions, but we just different because we gon' keep it real. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Today, we back with a major reaction. Major. We discussing the reaction of the Hamas attack on Israel and the Israel attack on Gaza. Because that's really what it is, right? Just being honest, right? And so, I've been, doing, watching as much news coverage around this as probably any other American. Um, you know, just to see, where we might get involved, should we get involved, what's the back history behind it, should we even care what's going on, and how do we resolve this, in the most timely and efficient manner, right? What's the best way to resolve it if, we or if I had my seat at the table or vice versa, right? With all that being said, man, the opinions that are expressed in this video are of my own, right? They're just my opinions. Based on my beliefs, based on my character, based on the facts that I know about the situation. I am not a history professor. I am not a political major. I have no stake in politics. I have no. I'm just your everyday American citizen. That's all I am, right? That's my stance on this, right? And I say that just to get that out the way. Um, with all that being said, if my intentions is not to say anything harmful, hateful, or anything that may cause anyone to be upset, but I say this to say that if anything I say offends you, fuck you, right? Because I've already gave the disclaimer that that's not my intention. So, with all that being said, the whole purpose of this video and the whole purpose of the comment section, the reason why I don't turn it off, people come in with it long, is because it's all about creating dialogue. It's all about having that conversation, right? And I believe that is the way that we can push the future forward. And I also believe that that's how we can move forward as a nation and as a race, which is the human race, is by creating dialogue with one another. Because I don't have to agree with your viewpoint to understand where you're coming from, right? And that's all that means, right? And with all that being said, let me shut the hell up. Let's get into a couple of videos, and at the end of it, I'll give my overall reaction to a couple of topics, and we'll just see where it goes from there. But to give you guys a little backstory, Hamas on Saturday bombed Israel, right? They bombed Israel. They said it was in retaliation to Israel killing some of their people. I don't know as too much and not as much. I couldn't find as much information around that, but that's what they said that was in response to. Hamas is a part of the Palestine side of things, so there's a very big conflict and a very big history with that within itself. So with all that being said, Israel has been bombing Hamas back, and there's a lot going on in between that, between civilians being caught in the middle of it, between civilians being held captive on both sides, right? On both sides, so both parties is have civilians captive, right? I definitely believe that. You can't tell me otherwise, especially with what's going on. But let's get into what some of the top people or top representatives from both parties are saying, and let's really just break that down and analyze that. So let's go.
Well, just before we came on air, I spoke to Osama Hamdan. He is a spokesman based in Beirut for Hamas, which of course is designated a terrorist organisation by the UK government. I asked him how he could justify the killing of so many Israeli civilians.
So before they get to that, and I really want to speak to that, right? They not the UK, but I've also heard other platforms label the Hamas as a terrorist organization, right? And that could definitely be true without a doubt. I've even seen one platform label them as the modern day America's KKK, right? That's how they. That's literally how they were labeled as America's KKK. But on a much more on a much larger scale as far as them having political influence, and things of that nature, right? And so I state that to say this, that um, they may be labeled a terrorist organization, um, but where does this all stem from, right? And they're gonna say some things. He's gonna ask some things later that's really gonna open the light, but we're gonna get to that in a moment. But I just really wanted to state that and just really address that.
Well, I want to tell you something, some good story. There is an occupation for the Palestinian lands from 1948. For 7 decades and more than this, Palestine was occupied. And you just realized yesterday that there is someone is killing the Palestinians. The Palestinians, they were being killed for the last 7 decades by the Israelis. Excuse me,
How
sir,
does
you
that
have
history
asked and I
justify the
have to
killing
answer.
of innocent
I,
children? How
you,
does it
and
justify
you
taking
asked and
old
you have
women
to
and
listen
men
to me.
hostage?
This is your problem, guys. You don't like to listen. You don't want to listen to the Palestinians. You just want to talk about the Israelis.
That is
I
not
definitely
true. I
believe
was in
I
the
believe that
Gaza
to be true.
Strip. I was in the Gaza
No, no,
Strip
no,
two
no,
years
no,
ago
no,
when you
no.
were being bombed by the Israelis. I'm asking you now about
So,
Okay.
Saturday's attack,
what's
how you can justify,
No
how
one,
you can justify the
no
kidnap
one,
of innocent
no one.
men, women and children, the killing, the massacre of innocent men, women and children.
Look,
How can you
look.
justify that?
Well, look, you are asking the wrong question. I'm telling you, you are still asking the wrong question. There is thousands of Palestinians who have been killed, and no one is listening to their cause. No one is talking about the right of the Palestinians to have their independent sovereign state. Why the resistance in the cause? You have to blame the international community who did not make the needed pressure on Israel to apply the international
Okay.
resolutions.
If it weren't for your actions, if it weren't for your actions on Saturday, the Israeli army would now not be bombing the Gaza Strip. Then
No,
that
no,
means
no,
that
no, no. You are
hundreds of innocent
eh,
Palestinians who are dying today in the
no.
Gaza Strip
Look,
would not be dying. This is on you, sir. This is
look,
on you.
look. No, this is on your hands, the British government who created Israel on our lands. This is the fact which you don't want to listen to. You create Israel on the Palestinian lands by Balfour Declaration 1917. You created Israel in 1948 on the Palestinian lands, arming Israel, making Israel the most powerful country in the region. This is on your hands, you and your government. Look to
Let
yourself,
me
sir.
let me
Excuse
ask you
me.
again. Is
and I'm gonna stop that because that's what he kept really repeating. And let's speak to this, right? Whether you believe them bombing Israel, or not, um, he is claiming the side of the oppressed. That is what. If you listen to what he's saying, he said we have been oppressed by the Israelis for 70 plus years. We've been oppressed, and nobody have heard our cries. Nobody has, nobody has listened to us. Nobody, nobody hears us until we do something to Israel. But Israel can do whatever they want to us. They can continue with their oppression. They continue to deny our independence as a sovereign nation, which is what we overall want as the Palestinian people or as Gaza, whatever that may be, whatever that faction is. We want independence, right? And Israeli is denying that. And the reason why they have such power to deny is that is because of the United Nations and most importantly the U.S. Their involvement in foreign relations, right? The fact that we get so involved in other country politics, it blows my mind, right? And I understand they have all of that, and we want to be able to keep that at a certain rate, and I get all of that. I get all of that, right? But that is less to do. That is less to do with freedom and more to do with politics. We care less about the Palestine's freedom, than that we care less about that than we care more about our politics. That's all I have to say in regards to that. Right? If you really listen, if you really just come to this with open mind like I have, not choosing any sides, not being on any side, but just listening to him state his truth. Like that's the issue that they have. Like we want to be recognized as an independent nation, right? And we want the ability to stand on our own, right? I feel like that's an easy fix. Give it to them. Why should we not allow them to be their own independent nation? We fought for independence from Great Britain, or from Britain. We broke off from them. Why can't they be allowed the same thing? Why do we have to control so much? Why do we have to control so much? And what if they break off and don't sell us any of the natural resources? Who cares? Who cares? We are relying much. We have been involved in other people's politics behind natural resources so much, to the fact that we have lost so many unnecessary lives behind natural resources. Listen to what I say, natural resources. And it's not like we don't have any of those natural resources of our own. The whole world was founded on trade and barter. We can do that. We don't have to choose sides. We don't have to make this so personal. This doesn't have to be personal. It doesn't. But the moment we get involved, and you see presidents like Donald Trump. I even think President. Another incident happened maybe back when President Obama was in office, and they're choosing sides, choosing the Israeli sides. That one creates even more opposition against America, right? Even more hate towards America, because we're involved in something that we don't live in. We don't live in those communities. We have no stake in those communities. How can we say how things should be ran or should be? We have no personal. We don't live over there. Why do we feel the need to have so much control in what happens in other people's country? Let's take that. Next part is going to be listening to the Israeli side, right?
Well, earlier I spoke to Lieutenant Colonel Peter Lerner of the Israeli Defense Force. I began by asking him for his response to criticism by Israelis, as you just heard, of the IDF's slow response time, in some cases up to 10 hours following Saturday's attacks.
The attack is the most damning attack that Israel has endured, and it has been clear that there have been several failures in this tragedy. I would actually say to the families that we are now trying to make sure that there are no more terrorists in Israel, and taking the fight to Hamas so that they pay dearly for killing so many Israelis.
You've now mobilized 300,000 reservists in this country. That is a very large proportion of the population, and it is the biggest call-up of reservists, I think, in the history of Israel. What are you going to do with those reservists? Is there going to be a full-scale invasion of the Gaza Strip?
What are we going to do with those forces? We're going to make sure that Hamas don't have the ability to do what they did on Saturday again to us. We will not accept a reality where over 900 people have been butchered in their homes, and we need to be prepared for other arenas as well.
And will troops go in on the ground? Will those 300,000 reservists and others actually go into the Gaza Strip?
There's a distinct possibility. We need to be prepared for that. Our forces are rallying on the border and making the necessary preparations if that instruction comes in.
You are bombing apartment blocks and mosques, office buildings in the Gaza Strip. You're causing hundreds of casualties. According to the people we've spoken to in the hospitals, most of these casualties are civilian casualties. Do you think that will really neutralize the threat from Hamas, or will it just perpetuate the cycle of hatred and retribution?
I'll say this, Matt. What's perpetuating the cycle of hatred is when hundreds of terrorists infiltrate into Israel and butcher people, abduct people, women, children, elderly people. This is what's perpetuating the situation. Our responsibility is first and foremost to the people of Israel. Our activities.
He's literally saying the same thing that the Hamas leader said, but just using different words. But he's literally saying the same thing. They both sound like terrorist organizations, if you ask me. Literally, if you're listening, they both sound like terrorist organizations. They both are knowingly harming civilians, right? Who has nothing to do with that war. Which I guess they live there, they have something to do. But they're knowingly bombing, like he say, mosques, schools. They're knowingly doing this. But his response is, we're looking out for the interests of Israel. Hamas is looking out for the interests of Gaza, of Palestine, of Hamas. Everybody's always looking out for their own best interests, for their interests first. Everybody's doing that as a nation, right? In any nation, that's how it works, right? I honestly believe that might be the issue. Is the fact that you are so worried about what's happening in your nation that you are not understanding what you're creating, right? Yes, you may have conflict. You say that you're going to kill off all of the Hamas, right? They have kids. They're going to have kids that survive this. They're going to have relatives that survive this. What is that going to breed? More hatred from you killing their loved ones behind them wanting to fight over oppression, right? These cycles of hatred is what continues to spiral, right? Hamas continue to grow in hatred. Israelis continue to grow in hatred. This is a cycle of hatred that we have been witnessing for over 70 years, right? And it's crazy, man. It is crazy that in 2023 that we're witnessing this now, like witnessing this right now happen. This is crazy to me. This is crazy. This is so crazy to me. And the reason why it's so crazy to me is the fact that you have a nation of people. You have territories of people, rather. You have territories of people that share different ideologies completely. Palestine and Israeli, they're completely two different sets of people, right? With different ideologies. With that being said, right, you still have two sets of groups that are still so much alike. They all want independence. They all want to be free from oppression, just like anybody else. But at the same time, they want to do what's best for their people. And both sides, in their own right, is doing what's best for them, right? And it's sad, man. It's really, really sad that you have so many innocent lives caught up in this foolishness. Both parties should really, really be ashamed. In all honesty, both parties should be ashamed. Their actions should honestly should be condemned. You know, there has to be a better way than war for something that's so trivial. And what I don't understand is that war has never solved anything. In the history of history, war has never solved anything. It hasn't. At the end of the day, people have come to a conclusion that war isn't the solution. That sitting down amongst discussing the issues, coming up with solutions to the issue, is what has resolved these things in the past. And that's what history shows us. War has never been a solution for anything. Nobody has truly won a war. I really want you to think about it. No one has ever truly won a war. Because people die. And anytime there's a loss of life, that side has lost. Because that's somebody's mom, that's somebody's dad, brother, sister, auntie, uncle, grandmother, grandfather that is gone. and they'll never have the opportunity, they'll never have the chance to create these memories, these moments that they were meant to create behind politics. That's all this is politics. That's all it is politics. Okay. Couple of things, right? Couple of things. I stated this, and I really want to answer the questions, right? Where do you stand on the U.S.? I'm gonna answer this in the video, but I also want you guys to answer this. Where do you stand on the U.S. providing any aid or assistance to Israel during their conflict with Gaza, in quotation, Hamas, right? I believe that we should mind our own fucking business. Simply put. Simply put, right? We should mind our own business. We should not get involved in this war. It is okay. Really, it's not. But I feel as far as we should go is just saying, hey, we wish whatever party the best, and be done with it. But I honestly don't believe we should choose sides. I believe that we should just wish for a peaceful resolution and call it a day in regards to that, and pray for everybody, all the civilians that are involved, all the civilians, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are suffering. They're the ones that are losing their livelihoods, their lives, to this senseless war. So that's my stance on that one. Do you support Israel or Gaza? Why? And I say Gaza because even though Hamas is the faction that has really started this war, maybe or maybe not, in some people's opinion, Israel started it. No need to point fingers, right? That's neither here nor there. I don't support neither because at the end of the day, holding civilians hostage or killing innocent civilians who have nothing to do with the actual war effort, to me, is completely wrong, right? And it's unjustified. There's no way that you could justify killing civilians, right? I'm not with that. And both parties has done it, and so I can't rock with it, man. I just can't, right? How can things move forward for the betterment of the civilians in both territories? Is my last question. I believe that in order for there to be a resolution, it's just like any other situation in war. Both parties must come to some form of agreement, and I believe the only thing that's going to prevent this from happening in the future, or another conflict of this type of nature, is honestly granting them their wish, give them their independence. All right, and and I could be wrong for saying that, and you tell me if I am, right? I'm not a history major. I don't know all the history behind it, but what is so wrong with someone wanting their independence, and why can't we give it? Well, if you have the ability to give that to that person, somebody their freedom, why not give it to them? So, especially if they don't want to be oppressed anymore. Who wants to be oppressed, right? So that's not here nor there. But what do you guys say? What's you guys' opinion on that, right? And man, it's a sad situation all around, man. I really hope that things can get resolved. I really hope that things get better. Because at the end of the day, man, we have a short life as it is. It sucks when there's senseless war that cuts that life even shorter. With all that being said, man, I'm just your everyday American. If you want to, stay tuned for future content. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. I do all sorts of reaction from music to politics to just natural news, right? So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I really don't have nothing else to say, man. Just stay safe, stay peaceful, stay blessed. Hey, my favorite. Stay out the way, guys. Later.